You! What are you doing here? It's too dangerous. Fall back, now! Your Highness! You are...
Have I caught you off guard, Your Highness?
Well, that's you just beat those NPCs from Chapter 8 for most terrifying portrait in the game.
Aww, does it hurt? I bet it hurts real bad, doesn't it? But it's nothing compared to what my brother felt. You will never be forgiven, you know. I will never forgive you.
Oh, her voice sounds so familiar to me, actually. Like, who is it? Oh, I know it. I know that voice. It's not Eden Regal, is it? I don't think it's Eden Regal, but it sounds similar. Is it Alexis Tipton? Maybe it is Alexis Tipton. I shouldn't be just going on about that in this scene, but yeah.
You filthy monster. It's time to die!
Dimitri! Professor! Do it now!
I knew that would happen. Completely knew that would happen.
Brother, help me.
Rodrigue! Your Highness, are you safe? Please tell me it wasn't in vain.
His punishment, it was mine to bear.
There are no sins or punishments on the battlefield.
No, don't die. Please don't die. Father, stepmother, Glenn, they all died and left me behind. Rodrigue, are you to join the ghosts who shadow my every move? This is my fault. I'm the one who killed you, as surely as though I had wielded the blade.
Your Highness, you have one thing terribly wrong. None of them, none of us, died for you. I'm dying for what I believe in, just as they did. Your life is your own. It belongs to no other, living or dead. Live for what you believe in. Dimitri, my boy, you really do look just like His Majesty. What are you saying, Lambert?
I am heading to Dusker, and before you start, nothing you could say would change my mind. You worry too much, my friend. So far, relations with Dusker have been going smoothly, wouldn't you say?
Well, that was tempting fate.
You, of all people, should appreciate how critical these negotiations are.
Of course I do, but for the king himself to make the journey, you must admit that it's dangerous. And His Highness is still so young. If the worst should happen...
Even if the worst should happen, he would be okay. He's a smart boy, Rodrigue. Even if he should lose his father, I have no doubt that he will grow to be a good and respectable man.
Lambert.
However, if he ever starts down the wrong path, and I am not here to set him straight, I am trusting you to do so in my stead, old friend. Promise me.
That reminds me a lot of that speech that I think Aqua gives to young Sora and Terra in Birth by Sleep. It's just like, anytime someone says, oh, by the way, if this guy ever starts going down the wrong path, they're gonna start going down the wrong path.
Lambert, my promise.
What do you want? It doesn't concern you. Get out of my way. No. Silence! You have no idea what you're talking about. Death is the end. No matter how much lingering regret a person has, after death, they are powerless. They cannot even wish for revenge, much less seek it out. Hatred, regret. Those burdens fall on the shoulders of those who are left behind. And so I must continue down this path. I already told you as much. It is far too late to stop. Do not waste your breath with some nonsense about how I should move on with my life for their sake. That is merely the logic of the living. It's meaningless. Those who died with lingering regret, they will not loose their hold on me so easily. But you seem to have all the answers. So tell me, Professor. Please tell me. How do I silence their desperate pleas? How do I save them? Ever since that day 9 years ago, I have lived only to avenge the fallen. Even my time at the Officers' Academy was also that I could secure my revenge and clear away the regret of the dead. It was the only thing that kept me alive. My only reason to keep moving forward. But then who or what should I live for? What I believe in. Rodrigue said the same thing. But is it possible? I am a murderous monster. My hands are stained red. Could one such as I truly hope for such a life? As the sole survivor of that day, do I have the right to live for myself? Your hands are so warm. Have they always been?
Okay. Did something just happen? Is Byleth healing him or something? I don't know. Maybe that's just like a metaphor. But anyway, so yeah, I didn't want to talk more because I didn't want to kill the mood of those scenes. See, that game, that is how you kill off a plot-relevant NPC. That is how you do it. Like, I sort of forgive them for Geralt now, because even though I saw that one coming a mile away, I mean, he was a major ally of ours, and he wasn't a support option, so it was kind of obvious. But still, and the moment that she came for revenge, I was like, oh, he's gonna jump in the way and save Dimitri, isn't he? So I called that. That was still a good moment, and maybe this will finally start to make Dimitri realize that Rodrigue didn't have any regrets when he died. There's nothing to avenge here. I was sort of hoping that the sister would get to live, but I don't know. She died in self-defense, so I can't really be too sad about that. So, anyway, let's move on. Like, yeah, it's funny. People said that chapter's very feels heavy, and I was afraid of complete tragedy. I was afraid that you know, I was gonna have to kill Bernadetta and Petra and Ignatz and Raphael and Lysithea. But no, that chapter gave me the feels for a totally different reason. And that makes me happy.
Part 2. Azure Moon. Heartstring Moon. The King's triumphant return.
Yes! I've been rooting for this since the very start of post-timeskip Blue Lions.
Following the death of Rodrigue, Dimitri begins to question his desire for revenge. His troubled mind turns to the kingdom capital and how he might end the chaos plaguing Fargus once and for all.
Oh, so we are going to turn around and take the kingdom capital. I was wondering about that, because I was like, isn't it a little early to be invading Enbar? Like, there was like one of two directions the story could have gone from there. Either we do invade Enbar, but Edelgard moves her base of operations to Ferdiad, which is, again, like Ashdod in Path of Radiance, or we double back and have to go to Ferdiad. But I didn't actually think this was how we'd be going back to Ferdiad. Oh, no paralogs this chapter.
Our victory at Dronder was certainly a turning point for us.
Yes, we actually won that battle without any unnecessary, well, apart from a few generics, but...
However, Rodrigue's death has been difficult to bear. We've lost considerable military strength and resources.
Yeah, even though we have his forces with us, they're leaderless now.
If we split up the soldiers currently defending the monastery, we should have sufficient numbers to invade the Empire. But even then...
Your Highness, you should be resting. Your wounds are still healing. I am well, I assure you. More importantly, may I have a moment of your time? Thank you. I wish to apologize to all of you. I have led you down this dark path with me, and have caused so much suffering along the way. I cannot tell you how sorry I am for my behavior. There is no apology I could offer that would be sufficient.
I almost feel like Felix is going to just walk up, punch him in the face, and then just say, apology accepted.
And how do you intend to make up for my father's death?
Felix, I realize words alone are not enough to repent, but I fear they are all I have.
I'm not after more empty words. I want you to speak through your actions.
I know that no amount of regret can ever bring back the lives we have lost. I know that well. It is like patching up a tear with a different material. Things can never be as they were. The best I can hope for is to make things whole again. I wish to do the right thing from now on. That is why I have made a decision. I intend to take back the kingdom capital. I wish to save our people. Those who I turned my back on for far too long. To follow my heart and do the right thing. That is the only way I can atone for my sins.
Your Highness, if we can win back Ferdiad, it will give us the advantage in our war against the Empire. As one who has served the royal family for ages, know that your words bring me great joy and pride. That said, I must point out that if we make for Ferdiad, the Emperor's head will slip further out of reach. Can you live with that?
I still hold hatred in my heart for her, and for the ones responsible for the tragedy. That I will carry with me until death.
Well, have you finally realized they're not the same?
But my life is my own. It belongs to no one else, and it is high time that I started living for what I believe in. I will no longer allow the voices of the dead to bind me. This is something that I must do. No. Something that I am choosing to do. I will accomplish my aim, even if it means risking my life to do so.
Understood, Your Highness. So, any objections?
You are correct. We cannot afford to die in vain by recklessly challenging the Empire.
Oh, you're here?
I'm worried about Lady Rhea. But if this is the choice you've made, I support it.
Come on, she's a giant dragon. She'll be fine.
I am at your command, Your Highness. I will follow you anywhere.
My sword is at your service, Your Highness.
I'll help too. The people in Ferdiad need us.
Fine, I'll help you, in my father's stead. But in return, you must win. You know that, don't you, Dimitri?
I do. And I swear on my father's lance that we will prevail.
Then it is decided. It seems this war council has much to discuss. Our next stop is Ferdiad, the kingdom capital, for the future of Fargus.
I mean, admittedly, this is coming, like, somewhat abruptly, I feel, but there was definite hints of Dimitri. Oh, okay. There were definite hints of Dimitri starting to question his desire for revenge earlier on, so yeah, this is exactly the direction I hoped the story was going in, but the fact that it's happened this early makes me worried that things are going to go downhill again eventually. Also, I just kind of thought in my head, like, Dungeon Master saying, okay, Dimitri, your alignment is back to lawful good. I'm not entirely sure if he's all the way back to lawful good now. I feel like like, I kind of consider Dimitri to be neutral evil for the first half of the time skip, because that's kind of like sort of a I care about no one but myself alignment. And yeah, I don't think he goes straight back to lawful good, which is what I consider him before the time skip, but maybe he's like currently lawful neutral, and then maybe it'll go back to good eventually. Maybe after this support conversation. Hello, it's been a while. You locked out this support for ages.
Sleep evades me, so I thought I'd get in some extra training. I was just about to finish. Perhaps it is the gloomy weather, but I am feeling the sting of wounds that should have healed long ago. The injury I got when that girl stabbed me after the battle at Gronder.
Oh, yeah, that was like yesterday, so not exactly an old wound.
Her eyes were filled with revenge, just as mine once were.
Yeah, I had a feeling that she'd have a hand in causing him to reconsider things.
I don't know, but I have a guess.
Yeah, Byleth and Dimitri don't actually have the knowledge we do that it was his sister.
Ah, I suppose I haven't told you about that yet. I was attacked inside the monastery the other day. It caused quite the uproar. The ones who attacked me were some of the youths we taught swordsmanship to once upon a time. It seems they were raised by a group of thieves we put down 5 years ago. I heard Lady Rhea took custody of them, claiming that the children were innocent. I have taken so many lives, and with each one, I face hatred. During the last 5 years, especially. My life was not so different from that of a wild beast, and that young girl's brother. At some point, I must have... That is why I thought it only natural that someone would retaliate someday. Because I hated, because I stole, and because I killed. But with those children, it's different. We drew our blades with the best of intentions, only to hurt them in the end. I suppose this is yet another thing we will just have to live with. Yes, as one who chose to fight, it is my responsibility to confront this anguish and the true nature of war. Until the day my life comes to an end. Thank you. You know, Professor, there is something that I only recently realized. I never knew it could be so comforting to have someone standing by my side.
I finally realized friendship is good. How did I not know that before? I'm sorry, that's a good support. That's a nice capstone to what just happened. Oh, okay.
Even this town, which was a ruin, has begun to recover its energy. However, acquiring supplies is still difficult.
Especially since you have failed to get that Verona that I asked for several months ago. Why is it taking so long?
The people living here are struggling too. This conflict must be brought to an end soon. I agree. We must seize victory with our own hands. Still, I wonder what path my life should follow once we achieve our goals. That has been my intent. But surely my daughter Annette must have her own path to follow. Perhaps she would be happier if our paths diverged. Of course, if she desires it, I will gladly return. But if she does not, I wonder if I should ask my wife to join me here. To live out our days together at the monastery. That would not be so bad a choice either. Perhaps it is the fault of last night's drink that I am indulging in such dreams of the future today. Yes, I've learned there is strength in focusing clearly on tomorrow, and allowing yesterday to be done.
And Dimitri finally has too.
Hey, it's the old fishing guy. Hi there.
Old fishing guy? Wait, that's me!
A short time ago, I instructed these children in the art of fishing.
Thanks to you, we caught a really, really big fish in the river nearby.
Is that right? Be sure you share it with your families now.
We will.
I did say something about that once, didn't I? I even told you to forget you ever saw me smile. But now, I would not ask that of you. Your words from when last we spoke have stayed with me. They bring to mind the king I first served. He told me not to dwell upon the dead. The dead are dead, and those who live are not bound by them. I intend to live my own life from now on. You have a fine smile as well. One that I could never have imagined when we first met. No matter how our titles or positions change, I hope you will always remain yourself, Professor.
Oh, that's actually A. Okay. And after all that, finally we get the chance to choose what to do with our day. And we've got quite a few supports, I'm guessing almost all of them with Dimitri. Yeah, they're pretty much all with Dimitri. So, yeah. Huh. No, I think they're actually all Dimitri. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and save, and then I think I'm actually gonna do those in the same episode, because this is just gonna be the Dimitri is happy again episode. Well, mostly happy again. Okay, who's ready for the Dimitri Support Power Hour? I guess this one first.
You don't look busy. Join me for some training, Boar Prince.
And here I thought you had no desire to speak with me.
We don't need to speak to clash swords, do we?
I suppose not. Is that one new? Wait. Where did you get such a blade?
It's that cursed sword I gave him.
I suppose you would recognize its value. I came upon a merchant selling weapons and found this among the rest of the steel.
That pattern around the edge. There's no doubt. It was forged by Zoltan, the master swordsmith.
I'm not giving it to you.
Huh? Oh, I'm just happy to have laid eyes on it. I don't suppose you'd allow me the chance to hold it.
Do you take me for a fool? I'm not letting a brute like you swing it around.
As though I would be careless with something so valuable.
I recall when you were 9 years old, you swung a sword so hard you snapped it clean in two.
Yeah. That's that trait from his supports with Mercedes coming back.
Come now, that was so long ago. I'm hardly the fool I was then.
So you say. Yet Hausfrau Darius still told that story for years.
What's wrong, Felix?
Oh, pointless. No use talking about someone who's long dead. Looking at your face is making me angry. I'm going to find a different training partner. Farewell, your beastliness.
What is going on with him?
Wow, okay. Supports can give you items? That's really cool. I was worried about that because I was like, wait a minute, why does Petra have that when I can't, you know, get it from her? Yeah, I think Felix is the only one here who can really use that. Yeah, not even Bylov has an A. Oh, Catherine, but she already has a Hero's Relic. So, yep, that's gonna go on Felix. I wonder if it can be forged, too. Yes, it can be. With additional crit. But we need 12 wood steel. So this one can apparently turn into Parthia for some Mithril. I hear they are rusted gauntlets. They can turn into dragon claws. Not enough. Oh, I need more wood steel. Anyway, back to Dimitri supports. Okay, good, he doesn't have any A's, so I don't need to worry about locking myself out of any paired endings.
Your Highness, sorry, I mean Dimitri, would you, do you want to train together today?
Ash, of course, I'm glad you asked.
I feel like that was probably a Kagor slip-up in the Japanese version.
Meet me at the training ground this evening after we've finished our tasks for the day. I'll be waiting, and afterward, let's plan on dinner. We'll certainly have worked up an appetite.
Oh, yes, I suppose. I mean, sure. It'd be. That is. It would be my pleasure to dine with you. I mean,
Ash.
I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'm just no good at this. I'll do my best to improve.
Are you still worrying over what I said to you before?
I'm trying to do as you asked, but it's just completely against my nature.
Trust me, I understand the urge to show respect where it is due. However, that is not the case here. Yes, I was brought up in a different family and raised in a different way, but otherwise, you and I are the same.
That all makes sense, Your Highness. But I just can't bring myself to speak to you in such a casual way. Sure, when you get right down to it, royalty like you and common folk like me, we're all just people. But the common folk still rely on the nobility to keep the peace and to keep them safe. Commoners pay the price for that in taxes and respect. That's what Lenato says.
I suppose I can understand that point of view. But the flaw in your logic is that I am not officially the king just yet.
But that's not all there is to it. I also respect you as a person. You carry the weight of the whole kingdom on your shoulders. You're a faultless warrior, and you're always so kind to your allies, even me.
And you're also no longer a revenge-obsessed maniac, so that makes me respect you more.
On all accounts, I can say the same of you, but you also have a strong heart. I can't say that about myself.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
No matter the circumstance, you are never drawn toward darkness. That mindset of yours has done me well on countless occasions.
So, in other words, the technical term for Ash would be pure cinnamon roll.
Well, I do my best. So I guess mutual respect between us is what's really the most appropriate.
Precisely. Which means there's never any need to be nervous or uncomfortable around one another. It seems we may have circled back to where we started with this conversation, but let's at least agree that we both should learn to bend a bit. How's that sound?
All right. Let's start from the beginning then. Would you like to train with me today, Your Highness?
Of course, Ash. Come at me with everything you've got.
Can that happen pre-time skip? Because that one feels a little bit awkward with Dimitri's post-time skip design. And his voice sounded a lot more like it did pre-skip too. Yeah, like honestly, it is kind of weird seeing Dimitri be happy and positive with his post-time skip design, but still.
Your Highness? Why are you in my room?
Sorry, I need to hide in here. Just for a while. I'll have you know this is all your fault.
Hide? From who? Is it the Empire?
Maybe either this is a post-time skip only support, or that dialogue changes if it's post-time skip.
No, it's a girl.
You see, I took your advice, and I tried asking out someone. Unfortunately, that someone was Flayn, and now Seth wants to kill me.
I'm sorry, it's a what?
This is all because of your insistence that I go and ask a girl out.
You didn't give her a dagger, did you? Is that why you're hiding? Does she have a dagger, Dimitri?
So that line, yeah, that line all the way back in their C support, that was foreshadowing of Edelgard. That was interesting.
Look, you kept true to your promise to improve your behavior. So I felt it was only right to make good on my side of the bargain too.
You invited a girl to dinner, and now she's chasing you around. What's the big deal? Unless... Did you use one of my pickup lines? Those words are dangerous in the wrong hands.
That's an amazing line.
With me, people know a line's a line and I'm joking. But you, nobody's ever accused you of being funny.
I clearly underestimated the difficulty of the task. But what do I do now?
Relax, Your Highness. Relax. I'll sort this whole thing out real easy. All we have to do is figure out how to make this girl lose interest in you.
Well, maybe, you know, the whole fact that you went on a complete murder spree at the start of the time skip, that would make a lot of people lose interest.
And making girls lose interest is what I'm best at. You just wait right there, and I'll fix everything.
It was my naivete that brought this about. I cannot place this immense burden on your shoulders.
This is no job for an amateur. You need a professional's help. Trying to do everything yourself has never served you so well, so just leave this to the master. Even the dagger incident could have been avoided if you had just talked with me beforehand.
Well, if we'd avoided the dagger incident, would Edelgard have not become who she is today?
There wasn't time for consultation. I only learned she was leaving on the day of her departure.
Whatever you say. The point is, you need to learn to rely on me for these types of things in the future. For now, I got this. And if I ever need help with something you know how to help with, then maybe you can do the same for me.
Sylvain. Very well. When that time comes, I promise to help you as best I can. The Knight of Fargus never goes back on his word. Isn't that right? You're a good man, Sylvain. I'm sorry to do this to you. Best of luck.
Please, Your Highness. I've spent years honing my skills for just this situation. Watch and learn.
So, instead of Prince Derek writing the book How to Offend Women in 3 Syllables or Less, maybe it should have been Sylvain. Anyway, was it 3 or was it 5? I think it's 5, actually, because what else is there is... Yeah, I watched that film as a kid. Anyway, I guess we can continue to go down the list.
You've been spending a lot of time at the training ground, Mercedes. As far as swordsmanship goes, you're like a whole new person.
So, from the comments on the C support, apparently Mercedes is like one of the worst sword users in the entire game, so this support's particularly ironic.
Thank you. I have such a great time when you teach me that improving comes naturally.
It's all because of your own hard work. Compared to you,
You shouldn't be so disappointed in yourself. You're improving too. You just need to keep at it.
Well, I can hold a needle and thread without breaking anything now. That's something.
Yeah, the breaking things does remind me a bit of Crom, and it is, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but a lot of Dimitri's character kind of feels like what I always wished Crom was. I know there's a lot of people who really like Crom. I've never personally been that big on Crom. He's always just been a kind of character to me. But, yeah, I feel like I might have liked Crom more if he was more like Dimitri.
That's a big step. When we started, you couldn't even hold a pair of scissors without twisting them apart.
True. I'm sorry for being such a burden.
You're no bother at all. I like sewing with you. It reminds me of when I was young and my mother taught me how to sew. My mother would sit with my brother and me, and we'd all sew together.
But now he's the Death Knight. I'm sad now.
I really miss it. Even though I was barely better than you when I started.
Like, seriously, all mentions of her brother in supports are really kind of... They get kind of ironic when you know that he's the Death Knight.
Did your mother like to sew, Dimitri?
My birth mother? From my father's accounts, she wasn't great at it either.
Oh, of course. I forgot that the Queen of Fargus passed away long ago.
Yes. I don't really remember what she was like.
Yeah, good thing you're giving this conversation to Dimitri right now, because if this was the Dimitri of a few chapters ago, he'd be like, "How dare you mention my mother? She's dead, they're all dead, and I must kill everyone to appease them."
But I remember my stepmother, always sitting by the window sewing away.
I'm sure she would have been happy to teach you if you had asked.
She always looked so lonely when she was sewing. So unreachable. She was kind to me, yes, but when she was like that, it was hard to talk to her. I'm not certain she would have wished to teach me.
I'm so sorry, Dimitri. I didn't mean to bring up such difficult memories.
Don't worry about it. If I don't talk about those things sometimes, I'll risk forgetting them altogether. And that would truly be a shame.
Character development!
I see.
But now I'm just going on and on about myself. Why don't you tell me more about you?
More about me? Oh, goodness. I don't even know what to say.
It's hard to think of something on the spot, isn't it? You could speak of your family, I suppose.
No, don't do that. Come on. What was I saying about the irony?
You want to know more about my family? On that topic, I'm happy to oblige. In fact, I'm so glad you asked. It's important to think about your past and share it every now and then. This might take a while, but would you be willing to stay and listen?
Of course. I will listen for as long as you wish.
You see, my half-brother went insane and is now a masked crazy knight who slaughters people. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing to reminisce about. And more Dimitri supports!
Your Highness, I have a little favor to ask of you.
Of course. How may I be of assistance?
Well, I was hoping you could tell me about my father. I imagine he was a very different man at home than he was at work.
Ah, so you wish to hear about the Gustav that I knew. As you know, he was a knight who served the royal family since my grandfather's reign. To me, he was a teacher of martial arts and tactics. He was someone I depended on since I was a small child.
I can just see like Gustav / Gilbert just standing outside going, I'm right here!
But he was also a very stern and strict instructor.
That doesn't surprise me. He was much the same at home. He'd chide us if we made mistakes, whether it was with cooking or even how we spoke. I feel like we can talk like this because of our time at the academy. But if he saw me speaking so casually to you, oh my goodness, he would probably faint.
Clang! That was the sound of him actually fainting outside because he's watching this conversation.
Is that so? Funny. I suppose in front of his family he felt the need to demonstrate proper etiquette.
Wait, are you saying that's not how he was around you?
Even all these years later, there's something I recall with perfect clarity. It happened in the autumn of my 11th year. Before the break of dawn, he woke me suddenly. Said he'd heard a disturbance and had me grab my bow. Then he set me and a fellow pupil loose on a dark mountain. Our only directive was to go catch a deer. As you well know, autumn in the capital is very cold. Now, imagine being up on the mountain at night with no idea what might jump out from the shadows. That, in a nutshell, is the Gustav I knew.
I can hardly imagine that. He was completely different with me.
I recall one other defining detail. He used to speak of you at every possible opportunity.
Really? What would he say about me?
Are you sure you want to know? There's one story he used to tell from when you were very small.
No, stop! It's probably too embarrassing to bear. Is it?
Perhaps.
Look, I'll promise to forget the stories he told me about you if you return the favor. Deal?
Yes, that seems the only thing to do. It's a promise.
Wait, what stories did he tell you about me? And a two-parter.
Your Highness, I've come to apologize. I mismanaged my feelings and got carried away. I've been thinking about what might have made you say the things you did. I was so caught up in the moment and in my own feelings that I didn't think of what yours might be.
No, I should be the one to apologize. I did not intend to say such things. I lashed out like a child. You were right to rebuke me. I am disgusted by my own inability to express myself. Will you allow me to explain?
Of course.
At the tragedy of Dusker, I saw countless corpses. Of course, I saw his, too. Glenn's.
It's funny, apparently your stepmother's corpse was not among those. That's very interesting.
Ingrid, I doubt you would have been able to see him. They were unable to bring his body back after all. He must have died an agonizing death, full of pain and regret. That is what I saw in his face. In that wasteland, there were no beautiful, proud deaths that could have been written about in heroic tales. Not one. I do not want you to die a death like that. Not even for the sake of loyalty or duty.
A king must at times order his soldiers and knights to fight and die on his behalf. Their lives must be used for the greater good. This is something any good king understands innately. Any king who doesn't allow people to die on his behalf is too soft to rule well.
You leave me little room for argument. Have I disappointed you?
No. I chose to serve you because of how you are. As your knight, I will stand by your side and uphold your soft-hearted ideals.
Well, his ideals only became soft-hearted again, like, very, very recently. He was kind of the opposite of that before.
What has changed, Ingrid? You were so obstinate the other day.
Well, that was 5 years ago.
I've realized that I haven't been facing a very important truth. Because of you, I can finally move on. Thank you.
And B+. And now... Oh, I have even more of them. I think I'll do these ones first.
Your Highness, missing the day's training? How unlike you.
I had intended to train, but this rain is unrelenting.
Yes, it's really coming down out there. Makes it hard to go outside, I suppose.
Funny, it's actually raining in real life while I record this.
It's pouring so hard, I can't help but feel poorly.
I have never heard that pun before, wow.
Yes.
I love the silence there, that's just great.
Sorry, that one was pretty bad. I think this weather is putting a damper on my sense of humor.
At any rate, did you need me for something?
There was a pun in that, by the way, damp.
Ah, yes. You seem to have the time to spare, so would you help me organize our stock of weapons? You must know a thing or two about weapons, and I bet you're no slouch at physical labor.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. I was just hoping for a useful way to pass the time until the rain lets up.
I appreciate it. I don't know how I do it all on my own. You know, it's great that you're willing to help with this kind of thing. Some nobles are so self-important. You're a real go-getter, Your Highness. Or should I say, your spryness? Maybe that was disrespectful. If he's going to lop off my head, he'd better go ahead and do it. I can't bear the silence. Listen, Your Highness, that joke, I didn't mean to...
He's gonna laugh, isn't he?
I just...
Huh?
oh my... I'm sorry, Eloise.
Wait, you mean you actually found it funny?
Oh goodness, not at all.
I see.
But when a joke is unfunny to a certain degree, it somehow comes full circle into hilarity.
That's actually how I feel sometimes.
That's not exactly what I was going for. Still, I don't think I've ever seen you laugh so loudly.
It's true. Laughter is not one of my strong suits. I actually can't recall the last time I laughed like that.
I can. It was back during Chapter 11. Yeah, you know the one.
Eloise, perhaps you should focus your efforts on honing this comedic talent of yours.
This talent? Is that your way of saying I'm no good at telling jokes?
My apologies. I should refrain from commenting on the quality of your jokes. What's important is that they bring joy, right?
That does it. Next time I make you laugh, I'm gonna make you admit it was a good quality joke. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to cook up some top-notch rib ticklers.
Eloise, what about organizing the weapons? Oh, he's gone, isn't he?
I think that was a very well-timed support, because Dimitri really needed that right now. And now, Catherine!
Hey there. At it again, are we? It feels like I see you training here every day.
It's my daily routine. I'm ill at ease until I've held a weapon in my grasp.
You said the same thing when you were little.
Right you are. I've been meaning to come and talk to you properly for a while now.
I was about to say the same thing. How long has it been? A decade? More? That was in Ferdiad, as I recall. You were just a little pipsqueak. You really have grown up, haven't you?
I remember those times well. Particularly your first words to me. Look at that young maiden wielding a giant lance. How adorable.
Oh, don't look at me like that. I was thrown off by your haircut, that's all.
It's all water under the bridge. Now, back then I was quite furious about it.
That actually is kind of funny because in real life I have long enough hair to the point where I have actually got comments like that before.
My father did give me a stern reprimand for speaking so rudely to a prince. But then, I never had a chance to apologize. I was always getting into trouble back then, just like the incident in Dusker.
And suddenly depressing.
Do you ever think about going back to House Karen? Do you, Cassandra?
No. I'm happy with the life I have. No offense, Your Highness, but I don't fight for king and country anymore. I fight for Lady Rhea.
It doesn't bother you? Being labeled a criminal?
You're worried about my life as a fugitive from the Holy Kingdom of Fargus.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. I'm here because I want to be. It suits me far better than the life I'd otherwise lead, as a noble lady of the kingdom.
So did she side with Dusker during a rebellion or something?
Is that so?
How about you? You've never wanted to roam free? To enjoy life as an ordinary knight? unshackled from all those princely obligations.
I can't say the thought has never crossed my mind. However, I am the son of a king. It's not possible for me to put my own desires before the good of the kingdom.
Nah, you're too serious for your own good. How'd you become such a stiff?
Don't worry, I've been working on that. Stretching is a part of my daily routine.
If you can joke about it, there's hope for you yet.
He learned that one from Eloise, by the way. And now, finally, this one, which I've been saving for last, because again, my headcanon is that actually it was Seteth at the door then, and Dimitri had actually tried to flirt with Flayn.
Why are you out and about so late, Dimitri?
Hello, Flayn. I could ask you the same thing.
Me? I was feeling restless and came here to think.
I see. I'm here for the same reason.
How funny. But are you feeling well? You look fairly pale.
It's nothing. I just have a bit of a headache.
Oh my. Headaches are quite troublesome, are they not? I am sure it will subside soon. Actually, I am quite talented when it comes to healing magic. If you will allow me, I will have you feeling better in no time.
Okay, so healing magic works on headaches. That's good to know.
That's kind of you, but I'm fine.
But why not? Have I offended you somehow?
This headache is something I've dealt with for a while now. Ever since my family and friends were murdered before my eyes. I must never forget that day. I must never allow their deaths to be forgotten. I feel this headache is a reminder of sorts. Of those I failed to protect. And of their murderers who still roam free.
I see. That would explain your somber demeanor. Still, I do not agree with all you are saying. I feel that if I were your father or any of your dear friends whom you lost, I would want you to let go of me eventually. I would never want someone whom I care deeply for to be pained by the loss of me for eternity. And I doubt they would want that either.
Perhaps. Unfortunately, they have left this world, so I can no longer ask their preference.
We cannot ask them directly, but we can imagine how they might have felt. You know who they were as people. As for me, if I am ever to be but a memory in your future, I want you to remember me in a way that brings you joy. I would want you to smile when you recalled me, to feel warmed by the notion that I cherished your company. I cannot imagine I am the only one who feels this way. Surely, anyone who loved another would wish only for their peace and happiness. I must apologize. I was out of line, clearly. I must get some rest now. Please do not stay up too late yourself.
Good night, Flayn. And thank you.
Okay, I kind of ship them now. I sort of did earlier with SC, but I definitely do now. And yeah, that is everything. Well, I know who I'm putting on group tasks together in the future. Oh wow, you have a double A as well. Interesting. Although I will say that if I was on Golden Deer, I feel like Flayn and Ignatz would be kind of a nice pairing because he really admires the Saints, and it's very likely that Flayn is one of them.